So welcome everyone once more. My name is Mazes, okay, and this is Njenje Media TV. Glad to have you join us this evening once more. As usual, every week we do have these conversations where we speak to opinion holders and we speak to those that matter regarding the nation. And the series today is still the State of the Nation series, one-on-one conversation with Dr. Chifa Anyim Pius Anyim, who is the former Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and former Secretary to the Government of the Federation. He is also the 2023 presidential aspirant under the People's Democratic Party, the PDP. Anyim Pius Anyim, you're welcome to Njenje Media TV.
Thank you, Mr. Isabel. Let me say that one, I'm not a chief. Two, I have honorary doctorate degree, and that doesn't entitle me to answer doctor. So I'm not a doctor. Okay. I'm not a chief. I'm Senator Pius Anyim.
In most cases, people who do have an honorary doctorate degree do also appreciate to have these titles.
It's quite wrong. Yeah. It's quite wrong. And also, as a matter of principle, I don't take chieftaincy title. So I'm not a chief.
Okay. At least, well, many people do also think, Red Cap qualifies one. But, I mean, we know that this is the Nzenozo clan, that's, in terms of as the Red Cap goes. But let's quickly...
It's my cultural identity anyway.
Thank you very much. So let's quickly roll on, because I understand that time is not our friend here. Now, recently, we've seen that you started your consultations, and we've seen the moves you've been making. You've been, meeting, you've been going around places. And the question is, how far is the consultation going, and how well is it going as it concerns 2023?
First and foremost, it's going quite well. Secondly, on how far, of course, you are aware that the electoral timetable is out, which means the time has been benchmarked. So we now no longer have the liberty of time to simply continue on consultation. We now have to return to the timetable cycle to work within the timetable. So I can say for now that so far so good, and we're entering the new phase of the whole project. That is to say, work within the timetable and prepare for primaries.
Okay, I mean, we do know that the primaries is, as the INEC timetable is out, as you rightly mentioned, that is very clear now. Now, the question will be assumptions. We are still working on the realm of assumptions. What will be the reason why Nigerians will look your way, or rather why your party would have to, amongst every other person contesting to be the flag bearer of your party, why would your party pick you? And when your party, if it does pick you, why would Nigerians vote for you as their next president come 2023, sir?
Well, I think these matters are very straightforward matters. One, I am a Nigerian. That is the one reason why I should aspire to lead Nigeria. Two, I am an experienced Nigerian who had the privilege to serve at several vintage positions, which had given me the opportunity to understand the challenges and the clarity to understand what the solutions could be. Three, in addition to my experience, I have had the exposure across the country that I can say I'll be acceptable across the country. So not only picking the ticket of my party, I will be acceptable across the country. I haven't led the Senate, which is a mini Nigeria, so to say. I have contacts, I have friends, I have relationships, and indeed, I can say that, like few, I am at home in any part of the country. And also having served as SGF, I've been able to look at the how government is run and look at how projects are initiated and executed, and also identify the challenges of each region of the country. And I think that if I have an opportunity to lead the country, I am most vantagely positioned to do the right thing.
Okay, so you just now mentioned about understanding the problems of the regions of this country. I mean, I'm not trying to test your knowledge of various regions of this country, but let's say because you're from the southeast, and what would you think will be that the critical thing, come 2023, that the southeast should be looking out for, whoever going to be the president, and if the ball comes to your side that you are then elected as the next president, what will be that the Southeast will be expecting from you, sir?
Well, maybe not exactly what they'll be expecting from me, but if you ask me what actually is their expectation from Nigeria, what is their primary demand, I think the expectations of the Southeasterners from Nigeria is that they want to be truly Nigerians. They want to be properly integrated into Nigeria. They want to be known as full-fledged citizens of Nigeria with equal rights and who should be at liberty to be a Nigerian at any time, at any place, and with the full rights and entitlements as every other Nigerian. First and foremost, I think this is the greatest expectation or needs of the Southeast.
Yeah. Okay. So, if we stay on that part, sort of the line of argument. Now, the the expectation, as you rightly pointed out, these might be what the Southeast will be expecting. Now, within the Southeast, we do have these form of agitation that some that say they no longer feel comfortable being part of Nigeria, whereas some say, well, we are still wanting to be part of Nigeria, but we want to renegotiate how that would be. Question is, in 2014, under the government you served, the nation produced the 2014 Confab report. Sadly, that Confab report wasn't necessarily implemented before the government handed over to another government. Come 2023, should you be elected the Nigerian president, Senator Sir, what is it that you're going to do with that report?
Well, this report should be a Nigerian report. And I mean a Nigerian report in its fullest ramification, and not a personal report of anybody. For me, it will be subject to review. We'll take a hard look at it and throw it at Nigerians. Whatever Nigerians want to make of it, then they'll make of it. And this is necessary because time would have changed. And of course, you know that between 2014 and now, there had been so much that had taken place in this country. So you may not be right to simply pick up a report of 2014 and throw at Nigerians, but you will open it up to Nigerians and they pick and choose what they think is best. And one, and two, you also need to make findings administratively on why the other government, the last government, was reluctant to implement it. And if there are real fears why, real concerns why they thought they should not implement it, it should also be addressed because you have to create harmony, you have to build consensus. So I think for me, it's a Nigerian report, and what to be done with it would be the what Nigerians want to do with it.
Well, I would agree that that is a Nigerian report, and actually the line of thought I also agree with. But if we want to look at why this current government is not implementing it, it is on record that the president said because about 7 billion was spent on that report. In one of his video, he said, "Well, how could we spend so much amount producing this report while ASU is on strike?" But today, the rest is history. People didn't argue. The ASU is still on strike, but the report is there. And
Oh,
the question then will be on knowing the reason why, the reason it's out there. They have issue with the amount spent. Many people like me will say, well, that's not enough reason to jettison the report, but it's good that you're making that clarity. That's one of the reasons, that you will be in a position to look into that report. It will now get me to the next question that will be, I once had a conversation with Dele Momodu, who opened that there are those he called owners of Nigeria. Do you agree that there are men, maybe few women, I don't know, that really own Nigeria, that before you become a president, you need to consult them and you need to have their consent? Do you agree with that principle?
Well, I really do not understand it. It's not a matter of agreeing or disagreeing, but maybe I cannot appreciate the meaning of owners in this context. But I believe that like any other society and any other country, there are statesmen. There are people who have served the country. There are people who have been leaders of the country at one time or the other and have grown into retirement and still have concerns for the country. Of course, you will need to consult such people. And the consultation we're talking about is not limited to them. You scale them down. You consult them, you consult other segments of society. It's not because they own Nigeria. It's because they were leaders of the country at a point, and they have experiences that you may not need to throw away. You may not need to tap into such experiences. You may need to exchange views with them. You may also need to exchange views on the changes that have taken place between the time they led the country and now, and what their opinion is. So I am not sure I will use the word owners. Maybe I don't know the meaning within the context for which my friend used that word. But I think I wouldn't use that word.
I mean, it's a matter of nomenclature here. He said owners of Nigeria, and you're referring to them as those who have governed Nigeria before and still have a great interest. But if I piggyback a little bit on that, do you agree that they wield enough interest to decide or to influence who a president could be?
As far as I'm concerned, we are running a democracy, and democracy is about balloting. For you to emerge as a candidate of a party, you go through a party primaries through balloting. For you to emerge as a president of the country, you go through INEC elections through balloting. So however their opinion is able to influence any constituency that is going to participate in the ballot, I am not sure that there should be any headache for anybody. But all I know is that balloting is for adults who are 18 years of old and above, 18 years of age and above, which means they have their own mind and conscience. And whatever influences them, or whoever influences them, I think I don't need to crack my head to go there. But that is a matter of campaign, a matter of persuasion, a matter of contract.
Now, your party is, in line with INEC laid down rules and timetable. Will be going into the primary very soon. Many have actually argued that there are those, you may know, that people have considered people of deep pockets. Now, how do you then, you've obviously served as a Senate president and you served as a secretary to the government. Now, how do you intend to battle it out vis-a-vis these men of deep pocket to gloriously emerge? Obviously, we're not saying that you should give us your strategy of beating them and winning that ticket.
Well, all I know is that I've been old enough in this country to understand how some of these things happen. Buhari did not have deep pocket, but he emerged as president. Shiv Shagari did not have deep pockets, but he emerged as a president. Obasanjo did not have deep pocket. He emerged as a president. Abiola had deep pockets. He did not emerge as president. And a whole lot of others. If you ask me, power belongs to God. And whoever he wills, he keeps. The dynamics of elections are different per time. And I am convinced by the grace of God that the Nigerian electorate will see reason to vote for a candidate that will secure their future.
Sure. There are people who have made argument, obviously, let me for clarity here. Is it fair to say that within your party that the party zones power between the north and the south? That is that concept of power rotation. That
Mhm.
is within the PDP constitution. That's correct,
Yes,
sir.
sure.
Okay. If we go by that, then is it fair also to expect that because obviously the president is not in your party, current president, but at least the power rotation within the context of Nigeria, would it be fair to say that people should be expecting power to move down south in your party come 2023?
But that's the fairest thing to do.
Okay, so if that be the case, are you also an advocate of Nigerian president of Igbo extraction? Or rather Southeast extraction, as some people will put it. Let's not get because these are quite two different things. When people talk about Igbo extraction and
Well,
Southeast extraction.
let me just say that look, there is no zone, there is no region of this country that you don't have capable people that can rule the country. So when we talk about rotation or zoning, we're actually playing up the issues of fairness, issues of justice, issues of equity. And what is the relevance of all this in the whole thing? If you're building a system, if you're building a nation, there should be pillars that can give every person confidence to contribute to it. And that's how multicultural societies are built. Look at certain countries, for instance, because at times when we talk about destiny, it will appear as if we are just in the moon. No, if you go to Lebanon, in Lebanon, they zoned even the Minister of Finance and Minister of Justice, apart from the president, the speaker, the order, they zoned up to the ministries in their constitution because it's a multicultural society and everybody has to be on the table at all times for every person to have the confidence to stand on the table. If you go to Switzerland, they are still rotating the leadership of the country till today. And it gives them harmony. It gives them peace. Everybody is on the table part time, and everybody now have the confidence to contribute their best to the growth and development of that society. I think that is what the issue of rotation is talking about. Let me say that this rotation didn't just come today. I realized I ran my first election in 98, 99. And prior to that election was the G34 movement that gave rise to PDP and APP then. And I do know that when G34 were in that struggle, they had two cardinal motives. One, the military must leave. Two, power must shift to the south. The power shift movement was so thick and even championed by northern members, northern political class, that the northern military had ruled the country for so long that power should now shift to the south for a moment. And that's the beginning of this rotation. And if you are asking for equity, of course you must go with clean hand. And they effected it, expecting that it should be south, north, south, north. Nobody is saying anything new. This issue of rotation is born out of our own national experience. In order to commit every person to nation building, give them a sense of belonging, let everybody be on the table part time, and let every person have the liberty to the confidence that at all times he is at liberty to aspire to any position in the country without limits. And that is the real issue. It's not as if when you say Southeast extraction, Igbo extraction, you are doing anybody any favor. No. What we are saying is that we are building one country and everybody must have opportunity to contribute to that nation building. and in doing so, must have the opportunity to aspire to any position of responsibility in leadership in the country. I think that is what we're talking about.
Exactly. I mean, if I do agree with you on that also, but the question also remains, if we go back to this is about equity and fairness. Now, and here are the people of the Southeast saying, as it concerns this nation, we've seen people from other regions produce. The president of this nation, now we consider, in their words, that they consider that it is then their right, and everyone is talking about competence. And like you rightly said, every region that you go in this nation, you want the best. Of course, they would give you the best. Now, come to the southeast. Of course, if you need the first class, they will give it to they would give Nigerians that. But the question then is, you know, even in your party, why this kind of soft negotiation is ongoing, we can see that there are people also coming up who do appear not to entirely agree with that same principles that you just spoke before, just spoke about before now. Then would that be fair to say that there are people within your party that does not believe in that principle of fairness and equity?
Well, I am not very disposed to discussing individual. I'm not very likely to discuss individual dispositions. But the point you asked me is whether, if you ask me whether I believe in it, I have explained that I do. I've also explained the reason why I believe in it. Everybody has, one way or the other, may have his own opinion or his own disposition, whatsoever, but I am not likely to discuss individual dispositions. I don't discuss individuals.
Okay, now, there are so many ills bedeviling Nigeria. What will be, come 2023, if elected the president of Nigeria, sir? What would be the those items that you would go, you give priority, and in what order would you do that?
We need to rebuild to rebuild our social fabrics. Nigeria had never been as divided as this before. We need to return to the consciousness that we have a task at hand to build a nation. And this basket of nation building is a whole basket that will run through a whole lot of other things. But I tell you too that in building a nation, of course, you can't build a nation that has no peace. You can't build a nation that has no safety. There is no safety. The principal responsibility of government is to secure lives and property. Now create the environment for people to aspire to their best and make a living peacefully. So I think that for me, my priority I have always laid out that one, I need to build consensus so that we lay the foundation for our renewed commitment to Nigeria. We need to build consensus on what concerns us most, what has divided us so badly, what we have disagreed on, which has set the nation back. And building from this, then we can now talk about all other ancillary things that come with democracy, like infrastructure and all that. But my primary concern would be to bring everybody to the consciousness that we have to build this nation.
That is to build the social fabric, build the nation. I mean, vis-a-vis security and consensus. Now, in rebuilding this nation, there are segments of Nigerians that believe that they have been somewhat, sidelined in Nigeria. That is very visible in the way you see the agitations happening today. That has taken some part of Nigeria that is also driving them into some sort of conflict zone. Senator, I want to know from you, as a great son of Ndibo, if by any chance the Nigerians decide that you become their next president, there is this agitation in the southeast where you come from, sir. How best would you address this agitation?
Well, I first and foremost want to say that I want to be president of Nigeria, not president of Southeast. That is one. Two, I recognize that there is agitation in the Southeast. I also recognize that there is war in Northeast. I recognize that there is exceptionally terroristic banditry in Northwest. I recognize that even Niger State, close to Abuja, in North Central, and the Middle Belt axis, that there is also a bloody clash between herders and farmers. I also know that there are agitations for a new type of country in the Southwest and all that. That is why I said the first thing to do is to tackle these issues that had so divided us, build consensus on this framework, stabilize the country and build on it. So it's really not a matter of Southeast. There is nowhere in the country that is safe. There is no part of the country that is not being agitated. And I once told somebody that before one person dies in the Southeast, 20 would have died in Zamfara. And it's as bad as that. And here is in a country of ours where school children will be taken hostage in their numbers. And they'll be releasing them in piecemeal. If you pay hostage, they will release 2, they will release 10, they will release 12. You don't know where they are. You don't know who took them. You know how to pay ransom and all that. Whatever be the position, the case, we need to stabilize the country before we can talk about doing any other thing. But more particularly, you would have been privileged to read my open letter to the president on security some time back. And I think it captures my view on this. It is the foundation for which we can make progress. We have to stabilize the country. We have to guarantee people the peace of their environment to make a living within their environment. Today, many people can't go to farm. Many people can't simply, in the Southeast on Mondays, you don't go to work. And you can't leave this and tell me that you're going to do anything and make progress. So that's really what I am talking about, that my priority will be to stabilize the country. And if you ask me how will I do it, well, I can only refer you to my open letter to the president. It's one of the means that I think should work because it brings everybody to the table. You now find out what every person, why the reason for these agitations and all that, and you address them, within the margins of the authority you have in conjunction with the Nigerian people, because you can't simply do it alone as a government. And the open letter I wrote is emphatic that the force of arm is not enough and government alone is not enough. There should be a synergy that brings people on board so that you harvest their own input and devise a means of applying it to stabilize the social environment so that the political and economic environment can as well thrive.
No, it's listening to you now and the letter the letter in reference. Would it be fair to then to say, well, that the political will is what matters? And obviously, from what I'm hearing from you, you are then telling Nigerians that the political will not be lacking from you to deal with the issues decisively.
Yeah, but certainly, but maybe I will put it differently. It's really not a matter of, because I have been around, it's really not a matter of just political will, because if you just say political will, it means holding out by yourself. But what I guarantee is that I will not just hold out myself, I will bring every component, every segment of the society on board. Everybody has a role to play. I'll be able to present a platform that we harvest the inputs of all concerned so that we have a consensus on a way forward. So what I will do differently is to build consensus on what needs to be done, not that I have a monopoly of idea of how to go about it. And if you read my letter, that's the crux of that letter.
Okay, so I understand you are now about to go, but my audience would not forgive me, and those especially on the street, if we don't get to this part of the segment. And this part of the segment is where we go to the street and address the keke drivers, address the barrow pushers, address those in the lower cadre of the society, those also that want to be spoken to in the language we know as pidgin English, sir. Pardon me, I'm going to take you to the street. And the question for the street will be, sir, waiting you get for Nigerians where they street, where they hungry. Now they won't know. We don't they talk, we don't they blow grammar, sir. We don't they blow grammar. Now we don't come down, we won't come down for their level. They won't know waiting where you will be Senator Pius Anyim Pius. Sorry, Senator Anyim Pius Anyim. Waiting you go do for them.
I go bring peace come. And when I bring peace come, then it will be say that everybody will be at liberty to go about their businesses. And I will create business for big person, for small person, so that every person go find where he go fit they get his own food. So the economic environment I will promote will not just be big ones. It will be such that even the keke driver can drive for how many hours in a day and make enough living for himself. And I will make sure, say, this keke no go cost too much. Because dollar is too much. Now it make the cost too much. The exchange rate is so high. That is why the cost of keke is so high and it's not affordable. I will make sure, say, cost come down because Naira will have better value and everybody will find something to chop.
Okay, so my people where they street, and I don't hear them. The person where they contest for president say he go make sure say dollar go come down. But as in they talk now, no say on where they street go, they think say we don't hear this kind of one before where they tell us say $1 we go make it equal $1. But here, instead of that one to happen, the thing don't they go up.
Because that one APC now, they happen like that for PDP. Me, I did PDP. Now APC, now them go promise and fail.
Okay, so that's a nice one. So it's so that promise is meant for the the APC. So, but let's come in conclusion here. Suddenly we have this fuel scarcity. I mean, it's slightly at the outside the realm of the conversation, but I want to piggy your brain on this. We have this fuel scarcity orchestrated, some would say self-inflicted injury, and it's bewildering us now. In almost the same week, you have the president out of the country, the national grid collapsed, confusion everywhere, and we have seen the president again gone to take medical treatment in the United Kingdom. If Nigerians employ you as their CEO, would you be continuing in that trajectory of seeking medical treatment abroad?
I'm 61 years old. I have no known sickness whatsoever, ill whatsoever. I'm still young and very active and all that. But above all, I do know that when APC was campaigning, they criticized people going abroad for medical treatment. But however, that's not to say that if the president requires a stronger treatment, he wouldn't go abroad. But I want to say clearly, a few private hospitals in this country are as strong as what they go for abroad. And if a few private hospitals in this country can get it right, it means a number of hospitals can also get it right here. But let me say what have we do. I want to believe that maybe much of the problems here is the ability of the people to pay for their hospital bills. It was like this sometime in England. It's a national health insurance scheme that bridged the gap. I will make sure that this vision, which President Obasanjo's government also initiated, that we drive it to such a point that people should enroll in the National Health Insurance Scheme to such an extent that they will be at a position to pay for their hospital bills. And that will encourage people who have the competencies and the funding to invest in the hospitals. Hospital owners are not necessarily doctors. Abroad, you see people invest in hospitals, not because they are doctors, but they do the investment and doctors run the place. I think we will get it right if we have opportunity to lead the country. And if those hospitals can do well in Europe, why can't they do well? If you go to most of those hospitals that are run by Nigerians and Indians, you will have the best of Nigerians in those hospitals. They can work here, and I will make it to work here.
Thank you very much. That's a very fine place to anchor it. But before I let you go, I do have a question from the audience, and I'll allow Mazi HTML Okoye to please, in 30 seconds, ask your question before I let him go.
Thank you, Mazi, and thank you, Mr. Pius Anyim, for coming to speak to us. Why I wanted to ask this question is because you said that it's your priority as a president to try to bring Nigerians together in order to be able to work together, in order to be able to move forward. So the question is, as Nigeria is fractured and divided, you will need a negotiating skill, a negotiating way or philosophy or approach. What would that be? What is your negotiating style, approach, and philosophy? Thank you.
Thank you. So,
okay,
go ahead.
Well, let me also put it clearly. One, it's really not a matter of skill as you imagine. I know that the country was not as this divided in 1999. If you ask me, the country was ever united in 1999. The North, the West, the South, they came together and said, this is our country, we must save it. The military must go. And the military left. So this division was not there. I know that up till President Goodluck's administration, the time he was to take over from Yar'Adua, this country was not as divided as this. I also know that the tension grew when it was believed that it was the turn of the North to assume power, leadership over the country, and he wanted to go for a second term. And as a peaceful Nigerian who has the interest of the country at heart, he threw in the towel and peace returned. If you ask me, it's a matter and style of leadership. It's not a matter of simple negotiation in the real sense. It's a matter of leadership. The problem is leadership, and I'll provide that leadership.
Thank you very much. That's a very fine place to anchor it. Obviously, you've said it, that it is a style of leadership, and by mere extension, it means that the style of leadership with the current government is also what is propelling what we see today. Thank you very much for being part of this program, State of the Nation Series one-on-one with Senator Pius Anyim Pius, who is the former president of the Nigerian Senate, former secretary to the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and also the 2023 presidential aspirant under the People's Democratic Party, the PDP. Your parting words, Senator.
Thank you very much for this wonderful program. And I want to assure you that God willing, will assume leadership of the country and will make the difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And once more, thank you for being my guest this